Hello and welcome to the Mill Creek View CEO Special with me, your host, Steve Abramowitz, where I interview the best business people and entrepreneurs. Hello and welcome back to the Mill Creek View CEO Special. I'm your host, Steve Abramowitz. We are focusing on small businesses that put their customers over ideology and making a positive impact in our community. This time, special guest, Showdog Studios. But first, for more information about the Mill Creek View podcast, visit us anywhere you get your podcasts and socials at Mill Creek View, Tennessee. And while you're there, please subscribe. Welcome to our CEO Special, where I interview people who are making an impact and are doing good business. Today, we are talking to the team behind Showdog Studios in Franklin, Tennessee. John Attard is executive producer, award-winning VFX artist, developer, supervisor, and producer. John Attard has been a principal figure in the visual effects community for over 20 years. His expertise in stereo 3D production, virtual production, and digital production pipeline architecture has been reflected in work done for major companies such as Warner Brothers, Disney, MPC, Mill Film, Avid, and Autodesk. Award-winning films such as the Oscar-winning Gladiator. David Doc Abbott is executive producer-director. As a filmmaker, director, photographer, and producer, David Doc Abbott has a multi-level approach to his craft. His work with DreamWorks, Sony Entertainment, Warner has resulted in over 100 major motion picture music videos and 500 episodes of nationally syndicated scripted and non-scripted shows. His extraordinary storytelling skills were described by Academy Award-winning actress Olympia Dukakis as a strong passion to tell a story cinematically. John and Doc, how are you today?
Well, good.
Morning. Very good. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for coming in studio. Really appreciate it. John, let's start with you. Tell us how you made your way from British military to making movies in Hollywood.
That's a longer than a 30-minute story, but kind of, there's lots of ways to look at it, by accident, in my opinion, divine providence. I ended up in a very bad place in, post-service, and some people reached out to me to help me. I had a natural ability towards art, and so they, instead of me feeling sorry for myself and living on the streets, they helped me get off the streets and introduced me to an art studio. And, that led on to, this was, the very early 90s, and they won a competition where they got this fridge-sized 1-ton computer that nobody really wanted to use because the idea of computers and art was ridiculous. So the guy at the bottom of the totem pole was me. So they gave it to me, made me work with it, and the next thing I know, I'm using $200,000 with the computer, and the only guy who knows how to use it. And then opportunity after opportunity, I started doing music videos. I was doing music videos for Spice Girls and Jamiroquai, and that company then was acquired by a larger company, and I ended up doing some of the films that we were talking about earlier. And I was working for a company called The Mill. And we won the Academy Award for visual effects for that. Oh. And so, you could say it was chance, good luck, but as many things in my life, including me being here in Franklin, it was very evidently, when you look back at things, divine providence.
Doc, how about you? Did you always want to be a movie maker?
Steve, I always loved films and television. I kind of grew up in front of the screen, so it's always been a very important thing to me to be a part of storytelling, and I love cinema. I love cinematography, and just kind of all the components of films have been a huge influence on my life.
What did he bring to the company besides the Platinum Rolodex?
Robert was the head of NBC Universal for a decade, and Doc was just talking about how he grew up in front of the TV, as we all did. And he created some of the things that really influenced our lives, Happy Days, Magnum PI, The A-Team, you name it. He was Miami Vice, yeah.
Equalizer, Incredible Hulk, president of Imagine Entertainment, which obviously...
Yeah, pretty much the entirety of our childhood. And then went on to Imagine Entertainment, created some of those first. One of my favorite comedy films with Tom Hanks, The Burbs, for example. And then he went on from there to run AOL, and then he's one of the founders of Pandora. I mean, Robert, for well over a decade, has been a mentor of mine. And when we were putting the company together, of course, we wanted to reach out to people that we knew from, Doc and I both have decades of experience in the industry. And we wanted to reach out to people to, ask their advice about how to best put things together, structure the business, etc. And in Robert's case, when he heard about our mission, he's a guy who's been in the business a long time. He was essentially semi-retired. He was but when he heard about our mission, we were blessed by his desire to come and actually help us build this. And so, that's, how Robert came on board. And essentially how it works is when Robert's in the room, we all listen. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Harris worked alongside Ron Howard and Brian Grazier on the development, production, and marketing of many successful films, including Parenthood, Kindergarten Cop, The Burbs, Backdraft, and Problem Child. You offered him an opportunity to be an artisan, joining a team outside of Hollywood that aims to make a difference. Mm-hmm. Your shared goals is to break down barriers, bringing people together with stories of hope, understanding, and positive change. Doc, tell us about that.
It's absolutely true. I mean, our company stands for something. We set out. We spent the better part of a year, John and I did, to figure out what we wanted the company to be, and more important, what we didn't want it to be. And I think that message of hope, instilling hope in creating characters that are honorable heroes, it was important to us. And I think Robert Harris really resonated with that mission. His incredible history and his experience is just, it's really over the top. We feel very blessed to have him on our team. Our daily conversations about storytelling, about how to package and develop a content on the top level, how to do distribution deals and sell our content. Like, these are the conversations we're having with him every day. And like John said, he's going to pseudo retired, but he sort of did this because of, first of all, his longstanding friendship with John, and then really buying into our mission of this company. So
I think, a thing I want to add to that is, earlier on in Robert's career, television and film was that. It was hope. We had heroes, people that we could look up to, people who made the right decision, people who, when they shook hands, that was better than any kind of contract. They would do the right thing. They would always turn back and help that person. And that's changed. We're looking at, one of the reasons we exist is because, pretty much everything that's being created right now has some level of negativity or a nihilistic outlook. And so when Robert saw that we were trying to bring those kinds of messages back into the zeitgeist, he was coming back to something he knew very well, right? It was in Hollywood he doesn't recognize anymore. What we're doing feels more like the world that he helped build.
Yeah, after 4 decades, that's a big deal. Georgia has Disney's beloved tax breaks, and Hollywood has all the beautiful people that aim to make a difference. Let's see. You say your shared goals are to break down barriers, bringing people together, but we know that these are economic incentives as well to make a movie. It's not cheap. It's a business. Actually, how do you choose to open a film company in historic Franklin, Tennessee?
The beautiful people,
yeah.
But beautiful on the inside.
There you go.
Right. I think, the world has changed. It used to be that you had to be in Hollywood to do certain things. Technology has changed. Business has changed. COVID changed that a lot. Before COVID, the idea that people could work remotely was absurd. And now, the industries across every vertical are having trouble getting people back into the office. So that helped. It changed the landscape of how things work, including the infrastructure. The speed with which data communications changed over COVID because they had to as facilitate things. But I think that the biggest thing for me, being new to Tennessee and frankly, one of the things that I got when I met Doc here, he's been in Tennessee for a long time, was, the outlook, the need, the desire to tell, good stories, wasn't as difficult because it is essentially a lot of what we're doing is a reflection of how society and the community works here as opposed to other places in like Los Angeles, Seattle, San Francisco, where it's very sad for the people who live there, but they're living in a constant state of panic and conflict and division, whereas kind of the community feeling of everybody working together and helping each other and trying to build a better something is something that's endemic, I think, for everything I've experienced in Tennessee and definitely in Franklin. And I think one of the biggest things that I noticed, especially, when I first started working with Doc, is that you have people here are really concerned about what they can put into their community, whereas in places like Hollywood and, other cities, the desire is how much can they take from their society. So if you're building the kind of films that we're building, this just is the right place to do it. I don't know, Doc, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. That's all really well said, John. I think, the community aspect of what we're doing is very important. And I think that I heard one of my friends who's a tribal chief say it's harder to break 3 arrows than one, and so at the end of the day, when you have a bunch of people that are really truly pulling from the same side of the rope and they're trying to accomplish an honorable goal, I think you'll have good results. And I think we're surrounded by people here that are doing that. And then to kind of look back on another thing regarding technology and how that's changed what we do. I know when John was managing the Jungle Book, all of the pipeline for Jungle Book, would you have 600 or something people working with under you? And I mean, just communicating to people all over the world really has always been something that John's done. And I think today, hearing him manage the people that work with us around the globe, it's really, you kind of got to get your timelines together about when people are awake and when they're not. But he does it very well, and I think being able to tap creative resources that are all over the place, and we can Zoom call. We have a lot of Zoom calls. It's been very, very good for us. It opens the world to us in Franklin, Tennessee. So we have a great, strong knit community that's all purpose driven around us in Franklin, but yet the world is at our fingertips, and so it hasn't slowed us down at all.
Yeah, and like our crew. I mean, we have our team is an amazing team. Yeah. Every day, this is an art form made up of a lot of people who contribute, and every single member of our team contributes, and we're a mission led company, and everybody's on board with the mission, and so it's the wealth of interaction that we have locally, discussing all of the various issues that we have and the stories and the things that matter. We have, we're achieving a mission-led company without having to force it. We're not saying, yes, this is the mission, but we have to look at the bottom line. Nobody here is putting that above our mission.
Right.
And I think what I'm finding is that by doing that, the product of that is that the bottom line is better, which is an amazing thing to discover this late in my career, but it's a fantastic thing to discover.
It is hard to imagine a time before Zoom when things could actually get done. I think before that, we would have had the amazing experience of where Steven Spielberg was directing Schindler's List in Europe on the ground, in the mud, in the dirt, at the same time in a double wide directing Jurassic Park, which at the time was a technological brilliant film, and I think it won awards and whatever, but that was probably unheard of Herculean effort. You guys are doing it on a regular basis. Showdog Studios is currently in production on 6 short films, all of which fall under the anthological working titles Stories of Hope. The company is also developing multiple feature-length films, animated series, and documentaries. Anything you can tell us to be on the lookout for?
You just listed a whole bunch of things. Where should we start?
I think it's very exciting, the slate that we're putting together. Truth be told, there are a lot of really brilliant filmmakers out there. We're a part of an awesome creative community worldwide, but what separates us from others is the content that we're creating and what we're putting together. And also our team, right, John? We're really blessed. Our staff it's electric in our office. Every day, John and I start our day off with our staff doing team meetings, team building. It's just so fun to hear their excitement for what we're doing and the content that we're doing, the youthful ideas.
And in relation to the stuff that we're doing, I mean, and some examples of that is Doc just finished. He just finished directing one of the short films, Jackson. And the thing about the short films to understand is that they're essentially parts of an anthology that go through all of the stages of a human being's life. And so Jackson is in post-production right now. That's going to come out very soon. We were super blessed with Jackson, again, because of our mission. The editor that's working on Jackson is Marianne Boyce, Frank Oriosti's daughter, probably the best editor in Hollywood, and Mitch Lejeski doing the sound. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about what we're doing is everybody that is involved in our projects are people that have an incredible track record of creating amazing components, so editorial, music, sound, etc. So we've got Jackson, which is coming towards the end of post-production. That's going to be finished very soon. We have an animated film called Baby on Board about the first 9 months of a baby's life. We just released a teaser for that, and that's going to be finished in the next couple of months. And we have a whole series of other things that we're going into for the other 4 parts of that anthology. And then, for the feature-length stuff, we have a series of launch announcements for that are going to be happening in August. But I think one of the things I would say about the films that we're creating, the anthology films, one of the things about the company is that we're promoting values that used to exist in this country. And one of those values is being a member of your community and investing in that community and being a part of that community. And, apart from the things that we do for as a business, we also contribute. So one of the things that we're doing is we're creating a series of films for the Sheriff's Department, but also there's a special operations unit organization that we're involved in, and one of the films that we're writing is and we're about to produce is about veterans, but instead of treating veterans like a charity case that we have to help because they're all messed up with PTSD, which isn't the truth. We're looking at these individuals that had millions of dollars invested in them to train them to become the top 2 to 3% of our society. And instead of treating them like some kind of weight that we have to carry when they come back into the civilian world, with this organization that we're working with, Semper Gradi, we're treating them like the assets that they are. And so this film is going to highlight that. And so that's another one of the anthology things that we're doing that, we're currently in the process of finalizing kind of pre-production ideas around that. And that's something we're going to go and shoot this summer. So we're busy. There's a lot of things going on, but all things that we think you can't just walk the walk. You have to actually, be involved and be a part of your community, and because you learn a lot then about how to tell stories that are genuine and based on fact are better than fantasy.
I think I heard somewhere where you're saying that it's more important to get the story out, work with the community and the people, regardless of, say, the incentives of a tax break in Ontario or Georgia,
100%.
wherever the case may be. So that's great. Is there an economic model that you guys use that is unique to Hollywood making movies?
Gosh, that's a proprietary question, Steve.
Well, this is a proprietary show about you.
It's Hollywood magic.
Yes.
Yeah, we absolutely have been developing our own strategic, ability to create and distribute our content. I will say that a lot of business models in our space have been changing due to the incredible impact of streaming platforms. That definitely has changed the game for us. We want our content to be in movie theaters. We want our content to be on the top streaming platforms. Yeah, that's where we're going. So we have a very traditional mantra as well of, it's expensive to make films. We need to raise the money to make films. Good integral storytelling with cinematic value, beautifully produced. That's what we're about. And
well, yeah, and I think the thing there, and one other thing though about that is, a film is a product like anything else. So you have to develop the product, you have to manufacture the product, then you have to distribute the product. And in answer to your question from a business perspective, that is actually one of the main things that we do as a company. We're working on that business model, and right now we're building a fund. And that fund is built on a very complex model where the different products that we're making and the different distribution models that we're making are weighted across an array of different things, so that from a business perspective, the risk is less, right? So you might make a film that does really, really well. You might make a film that doesn't do very well, in the same way that you might make a food product and you have a line of food products. Some do really well, some do not so well. And so anybody sensibly in business isn't going to put all of their eggs into the one basket of this one product. You diversify. And obviously we have decades of experience of that, Robert more than anybody else. Yeah. And so we've built really quite a complex model on, looking at the statistical probability of success. And the fund is built for that purpose, so that those that are taking this journey with us and investing in our films, they're not investing in one thing and you're crossing your fingers and hoping it works.
I think I remember very clearly Mel Gibson had this model where he would invest his time and talent in things like Lethal Weapon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which made billions, and then he could turn around and make the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time, The Passion of the Christ, but he couldn't have done it had he not had the...
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, and then, outside of Robert, we have other people that collaborate with us. I mean, we're developing a Netflix show with Steve Crone, other producers as well. But the reason I mentioned Steve is Steve was the founder of
Village Roadshow.
And Village Roadshow came about because of its business model. So, I mean, our mission and everything is important, but if you don't have a business model, if you don't have a way to sustain what you're doing, then your mission isn't going to last very long. So I think that's one of the things that really differentiates us from many, startup companies, is that we're a startup company in the sense that we've just started this mission, but we've been in this business for a long time. And this model is a result of, decades and decades of experience of how you make and distribute this kind of product.
Which is how you're able to do a running start. That's fantastic. Austin Copps, if I said it wrong, tell me, is creative producer, graduated from Belmont University here in Tennessee, assists in the development of the company's creative and artistic strategy. He earned his BFA in motion pictures with honors as an actor. Copps has starred in several SAG-AFTRA films, including Christmas in Tune. Alongside Reba McEntire, he also showcases his creativity and ingenuity as a director and screenwriter, with multiple successful projects to his name. The reason why I ask about him, which I want to hear, is we're currently in the midst of a screenwriter's strike, as you all know. So is that slowing you all down? That, if I'm not also incorrect, that strike is really about streaming royalties for the writers.
It is. First of all, the mention of Austin, we're super blessed to have Austin on our team. He's a very impressive young man. We think that he brings youthful energy and great ideas to the table every day. We really, really love having him in the office and want to nurture his talent in every way. But the WGA strike, of course, it affects us and affects all filmmakers at this current time. John and I had lunch with an outstanding screenwriter yesterday, and just we've been talking about this strike daily because it does affect us. We were making a move on another project recently, and that was highly affected by that. Hey, we don't know that's going to necessarily be we don't know when the solution is going to be or when they're going to make a deal on that. We can't predict those things. But we still have to continue developing our slate and keep our projects moving.
Yeah, and I would say, screenwriting is one part of the process. We already have a lot of things already, a lot of scripts already written. So, we have months and months and months of of pre-production we have to do with the scripts that we have, and then after that the actual production, and then the post-production. So just with what we already have, we have well over like a year and a half of stuff that we could just be doing. Of course, we want to be developing other things, but we are very supportive of the strike. I mean, the strike is, the industry and technology and streaming is developed in such a way that the business model has made it very onerous for those that create the intellectual property, and it's made it very, very difficult. And eventually we were going to come to this point. So, we're very respectful of the strike. We agree with the fact that, the industry needs to look at the business model, and the business model needs to be more equitable for all of those that are involved in the creative process. And frankly, if you don't have a good script, you don't have a good film. So those writing the script should be taken care of. And so we're very conscious of that, very supportive of that. Fortunately, because we had such, a great start and a running start, as you called it, running into this, we have plenty to do for a long time where we don't have to be looking at, scripts as being a bottleneck for us. So
gotcha.
We're good.
So John and Doc, thank you for your time. We appreciate you. We're at the end here. Doc, let's start with you. Anything people can go to find out more about you or your socials?
You can go to showdogstudio.com and see a lot about our company there. We're continuing to build that website so people can find that. So that's a good place to find out information about what we're up to.
Okay, John, name of the company, why, and any others that they can find you at.
Well, I mean, I would agree with Doc. The best place to go and find out what we're doing is showdogstudio.com. Our bios are on there if you're interested in that. But really, what I think people should be learning about is what we're doing as a company. We're a collective, and film is always a collective. So as interesting as we may be individually, I think, the best story is going to be at showdogstudio.com. The name, Doc and I, we spent a year figuring out what the company was, and all through that it was coming up with the name. And we're we both have similar passions outside of the film industry, and we were talking about, you were the one who, Doc came up with the idea of Showdog. And then, there's also a specific, what's the breed of dog again?
German short hair pointer.
So, the story is possibly not suitable for the air, but it was, and we just felt that it reflected our personality. So we're that dog sure do hunt. So
bird dog that's on point. He's really focused on a specific thing and really locked in on that.
Love it.
And so that's kind of where we're.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on with us.
Thank you.
Thank
Steve.
you
Thanks for having us, man.
Welcome to my book of the day. But before I share, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to the Mill Creek View podcast. Just go to Rumble or Spotify or iTunes and hit the subscribe button and follow us. And thanks for doing it. B. James Gladstone received his law degree from Georgetown University and his undergraduate degree in film production from New York University. Currently, he is Executive Vice President of Business and Legal Affairs for Lionsgate Entertainment. Previously, Jim served as in-house counsel for Artisan Entertainment. Before becoming a lawyer, he worked in marketing and production at Vestron Pictures, makers of Dirty Dancing. His book, The Man Who Seduced Hollywood, The Life and Loves of Greg Bautzer, Tinseltown's Most Powerful Lawyer, is a fun one. In Hollywood history, no other lawyer has achieved the movie star-like fame and glamour that Greg Bautzer enjoyed. His revealing biography tells for the first time the amazing story of a self-made man who for 50 years used his irresistible charm and prodigious legal talent to dominate the courtrooms, boardrooms, and bedrooms of Hollywood. Columnists of the 1930s through 50s dubbed him Hollywood Bachelor Number 1. And for good reason. His long-term relationships and momentary conquest were a who's who of leading ladies. Through exclusive interviews with those who knew him best, the book uncovers the inner workings of not only Bautzer, the high-powered Hollywood lawyer, whose clients included billionaire Howard Hughes, but Bautzer the man. Check it out. I hope you like it. That's it for this episode. Really hoped you liked it. Thank you, Doc and John Attard from Showdog Studios. Until next time, this is your host, Steve Abramowitz, Editor-in-Chief of the Mill Creek View. Peace in our time.